Got a real treat for you today. We have Loraine Joyner with us. Hey, Loraine.
Hi,
They're longtime art director for Peachtree Publishers. Loraine has worked with some of the best author illustrators in the business, and she is going to be our guest critiquer for February 25th. She's going to be the February 25th guest instructor, and we're just so excited to have her doing this for us. She retired from Peachtree just around the end of the year. The work is still very much on her mind, and so we're going to tap into those years of experience and wisdom and good taste and art director's professionalism. She's going to be talking to us like we're professional peers and looking at our work, and she's got a very, very specific assignment for us for our night with her on the 25th.
I'm telling you what, it's really a time crunch. I wish we had just a little more time to give you, but that is not the case. So let's just get going here.
Okay.
Well, I'm betting that everybody who's watching right now has got a finished piece that they would love to have critiqued. Or they've probably got a finished piece that's a piece that's almost done but not quite. And maybe they don't know where to go next with it. What you can do is pick your very, very favorite one, something that has not been reviewed before, or even if it's something that you're not really happy with, maybe it's your least favorite piece. And you want to know what to do with this thing. Is there any hope? Can it be salvaged? So think about it. Think what you want to have reviewed, and you will then submit that right away. Turn that in by, let me see, where did we say that was going to be? The 12th. For this,
yeah, the finished piece is the 12th. You're right, because they don't have to do any work on that.
Right, and then it needs to be in a JPEG form or a PDF. And I've got a naming convention in the document here that I'm asking you to identify every single piece. Put your name on everything you turn in, so I don't have to guess about matching up with the creator of that piece. Own your work. So put it on the piece itself. And then the other thing I would like for you to do with this part one is to give me a very short, brief little paragraph that explains the piece just a little bit.
Okay.
And so that you can get going on right away. Turn it in, scan it, turn it in, and write a little paragraph about it. Please see if there, I'll show you at the very top. We want to have a little bit of information about you, like your name. If you have a website or a blog, put that on there and we'll go look. Are you strictly an illustrator, or are you an author illustrator? You can illustrate your own work or somebody else's, another story if you want to. I would like to know a little bit about your education level, if you've been to school or not. A course like Mark's here, of course, counts. So let us know about that too. The other thing, are you published or not? And if so, when and what publisher? And anything counts, everything counts as having been published. If you're in print somewhere, you're published.
You have done some spot art for the chapter newsletter, or your own chapter, SCWI chapter newsletter, or the national newsletter, or your church bulletin, or anything that's published. Is that right, Loraine?
Okay. I am counting absolutely anything that got your piece of work before the public somehow or another.
Okay, great.
Right.
Community theater poster?
Yes.
Anything like?
Particularly if it has a character, or if there's anything that resembles story, okay, that would be good. That would be terrific. But any little thing that you may have had published counts.
Okay.
In my book, and I'm sure in yours too, Mark.
For sure.
So that's quick. Then
that's part one. Okay.
Part one, and then while you're doing that, you might also want to think about part two, because it is going to be about character development. And this in children's picture books is probably maybe one of the very hardest things to master. is to create a character, and let's say you have created that character, but can you sustain that character? So you want to learn everything you can about that character. To do this assignment, I'm going to suggest that we start with stories from Hans Christian Andersen. He is in the public domain, and his stories are very familiar to most of us. As you know, his work, if you go back to his originals, they can be a little on the dark side.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a little bit of death here and there and that sort of thing. If you think you can get away with it, go ahead and try it. But I'm telling you, if you try to pull something off like that now, you're going to run into the kitty sensibilities police, and you might not, especially with trade publications, you might not be able to get away with that. So I'd be careful about that, although sometimes it is really tempting, I know. So out of those Hans Christian Andersen stories, I have selected The Emperor's New Clothes, The Little Mermaid, The Little Match Girl, The Constant Tin Soldier, The Ugly Duckling, The Flying Trunk, The Shepherdess and the Chimney Sweeper, and Thumbelina. If one of those suits you, don't feel like you have to be limited to just that. But a classic, go find a classic somewhere that really speaks to you. Let's do Little Red Riding Hood again.
Okay, no more Little Red Riding Hoods for a while. We'll do a moratorium on little.
Give the child a rest.
Okay, so pick one story.
Mm-hmm. And there should be something in that for everybody. We've got boys, we've got girls, animals, adults, objects.
Okay.
There should be something there. But please, whatever you do, pick something you've never done before. We're going to make this a spot.
A piece of spot art. Okay.
Be full page or double spread. It does not have to be that, because you don't have time for that. You do have time for a small spot that would let you do a little something, a little bit of action that might be a transition from one major scene to the next major scene. And it could possibly just appear in one corner of the text or at the top of the page, something like that. You figure out what that's going to be. And it does not have to have elaborate backgrounds. I would love to see some action or interaction between a couple of characters, or a character reacting to something. But start, once you've selected what you think you're going to do for your spot drawing, then draw that character over and over and over and over again. It would be kind of nice if you could do it all at one sitting. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it will just elude you, and you will have to go back and visit that character again. But eventually, that character is going to begin to speak through you. It's like you're channeling that character. Even though you're inventing this character in your head, he's taken over your thinking and coming out through your fingers. You just draw them as much as you possibly can until you feel that begin to emerge. And then figure out what their personalities are. What are they like? Why are they motivated to do what they're doing? What's driving this action for them? If there are more than one character, who dominates? How do they show that they're dominating? Why do they do this? If you can create an interaction, that is evidence that you really, really can control that character in a situation, rather than just having them stand there like a dress mannequin. I would love to see movement or turning or a different point of view, let's say from bottom up or top down. Get some variety in it, but don't make it really monumental. This is a spot.
You're saying it could be an ink line, a pencil rough,
yeah,
charcoal, and you state these on the sheet that you guys will be downloading.
I really don't care what the medium is. I don't think they need to worry about going to color right now, because color palettes are a whole nother thing. So we're just looking for black and white right now. If you're comfortable drawing with pencil, great. Prismacolor grays are good. If you like brush and ink or rapidograph, whatever your choice is, digital is fine. And any size, again, it can be. Just keep in mind that in a kid's book, a spot is not going to be much bigger around than a saucer, let's say. Here we go.
Okay.
See that?
Spot art.
A bucket of dirt.
Just not taking up the whole page like a regular book illustration would.
Close enough.
One more hoist. There we go. Yeah. A grim subject matter in that case. We've got but this is Hans Christian Andersen after all. So
yeah.
What was that illustrating? What story?
The Rose Elf.
The Rose Elf.
None of us has ever heard of.
Okay.
I don't know.
The deadline for this piece of spot art, the sketch, spot art rough sketch, is the February 22nd.
And it does not need to be that finished. See, this is finished.
Okay.
You can make a drawing that.
It can be a rough sketch, but we want to see that you're real at home with that character that you're showing, right, interacting in that little rough spot.
And that was a couple of objects. I mean, the swan is animated. Here's an instance of a spot in the middle of type.
Okay, that's another example of a piece of spot art.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And again, it's finished. Yours is not going to be that finished. You don't have to take it that far unless you want to. I mean, if you've got that time and wish to do so, please do it. But that's not necessary at all. And don't feel like you've fluffed off the assignment if it is not finished.
It can be a loose sketch, and we'll take it from there and talk about how you've done with it or where you're going with it. Loraine will be giving some wonderful, helpful instruction and guidance here.
How much more complex and full that full page is. You don't need to do that at all.
So that's a full page.
Which you're not doing.
Which you're not doing. Yours is going to be, that's a spectacular image for the Little Mermaid. Wow.
And this would, in this case, it's not rectangular. It's a vignette, what I would call a vignette.
Vignette with white space all the way around it.
Yeah, it's got those floaty edges.
So this is a two-part assignment, but you don't have to do both parts if you're feeling pressed for time. You can turn in part one, which is a piece that either you're not happy with or that didn't come to fruition the way you wanted it to, that you need some help from Loraine on.
Or if it's a piece that's never been critiqued and you'd like it to be critiqued.
The deadline for that
is the 12th.
And you can do that one. Or you can do part two of the assignment, which Loraine has just given you, and that's the spot art.
I'd like to have those characters by the 22nd. So that gives me a couple of days to ruminate.
She's going to read what you've said about your past work. She's going to look at your website. She's going to do a little homework so she gets a real sense, so you can get the most out of her critique in this live session on February 25th.
Yeah, and if you've got that blog or the website, that's very much what art directors are doing these days to find their talent.
We know that we're giving you guys a tight deadline, simulating real world scenarios. We're also going to get to hear Loraine talk a little bit about some of the work she's done for Peachtree, kind of give us some behind the scenes look at what an art director does, what they're all about, and how they make their decisions about your work, and any other insighty tips she can give us. So February 25th.
Right now, 12th, 22nd, 25th.
Those 3 days.
Big night, 8 o'clock.
A big month for critiques here. So Loraine, thank you so much. We're so excited. We're looking forward to this. And
excited.
We will talk to you on the night of the 25th.
Yes.